Hello everyone, and welcome to another Little Nightmares video. This video is a bit of a doozy, so I hope you're ready. Today's topic will be another part in my Souls Theory saga. I will be talking about the lady's magic, Thin Man's magic, the differences between their magic, and what this says about not only the characters themselves, but also about the world of the Nowhere as a whole. First, some context on my thoughts about souls in the Nowhere in particular. Go watch my designated video about them, and while you're at it, check out my theory on the bullies and how they might be connected to the Souls conspiracy as well. Before we start, I'd like to tell you all of something I will be doing with my community. Recently, I hit 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and by the time I noticed and wanted to make some sort of celebration, I've already surpassed 11,000. I talked about this in my last video, so to keep it brief, to celebrate, once I hit 15,000 subscribers, I will be doing a fan theory review. You, my community, can send me your Little Nightmares fan theories over to my email, theovermanln@gmail.com, and when the time comes about, I will make a video sharing all of your revolutionary new ideas and interpretations of the Little Nightmares franchise. Thank you all for helping support me so much. I never thought I'd reach 10,000 subscribers in essentially just a year of making videos. So thank you all for all of your support. And as always, check out the Discord, Patreon, and all of my other socials in the description. Once again, thank you all for your support. It means the world to me. In my last Souls theory, I hypothesized that there was a difference between residents and visitors, and that the defining difference is that the visitors possess a soul while the residents do not. My theory was that the residents do not have a specifically physical, tangible soul, while visitors do have these very real, physical, tangible souls. This idea is going to have more significance in other theories, and while it isn't that relevant to today's theory, the idea that visitors have souls, that the children have these very real, physical, tangible souls, is going to come into conversation. Today's theory, though, will focus more on the Lady and Thin Man's magical abilities in particular. The Thin Man and Lady are very heavily tied to their respective locations, and when I say heavily tied to, I mean that their existence is the essence and personification of their respective locations. The Lady, in essence, is the Maw personified. The Thin Man, in essence, is the city, and vice versa. The Maw is a representation of the Lady, and the city is a representation of the Thin Man. This is my claim. The widely believed theory in the Little Nightmares community about the Maw, at the very least, is that the Maw is powered by soul energy, and that the Lady is a catalyst for this. By whatever means, the Lady and her magic keeps the Maw running. My iteration of the theory claims that the soul energy has to come from child visitors specifically, and this is how every location in the Nowhere works. The Nowhere preys on children because it needs to feed on their souls and innocence to continue thriving. Knowing this, what can we learn from this in relation to the Lady and Thin Man? First, I'll be talking about the Lady. Looking at the Maw, it seems very well off. The Maw's architecture is very clean and well put together. Everything works together. Even though the architecture is surreal and unusual by our standards, the surreal nature of the Maw feels very intentional. The furniture is warped and twisty and stretched upwards. However, this is intentional, as this odd furniture is perfectly suited to, say, the janitor, with his long arms and short legs. The Maw is very healthy, very intentional, very structurally sound. The Maw as a creature is very well fed. Compare this to the city. The city is surprisingly normal. The furniture and layout of things is very typical by our human standards. But the defining characteristic of the city isn't its surreal nature, it's its broken down, defunct nature. We see buildings almost collapsing. The floors and walls are missing in some places, the streets are cracked, and there's massive chasms from where the land broke apart. There's an entire chase sequence where the building we are in is collapsing on top of us. The main aesthetic of the Maw is its strong, intentional, intentful, and healthy nature, while the main theme with the city is how defunct and abandoned it is. These two locations are reflections of their respective rulers. The Lady is elegant, strong, powerful. Her magical ability is strong. It's strong and cohesive, and the Maw is a reflection of this. On the contrary, the Thin Man is very physically weak. He looks like he struggles to walk. He looks like he's constantly falling apart. He is unstable. Just like the city, falling apart, struggling to keep itself together. The Lady is strong, a master of her magic, while the Thin Man simply isn't. I believe we see this also reflected in their abilities. It's implied in the Nowhere that there tend to be these figurehead characters for the locations. The lady is the figurehead of the Maw, the Pretender the Nest, the Thin Man the City. All of them have powerful magical abilities. The Thin Man and Lady both share the ability to teleport, and both of them seem to have the ability to remove a child's soul from their body. We see both abilities demonstrated very clearly. In Little Nightmares 3 also, and by the way, this is incredibly heavy speculation territory, just for the next part since the game isn't out yet. It's been theorized that the Mirror Man will be a main enemy, a character who can teleport through mirrors and has these smoke-like abilities. There also has been theories that Lo will become the next Mirror Man, and while I don't believe in this theory specifically, it could be some kids were meant to usurp their figureheads and they didn't, like Six didn't become the Lady. Lo probably won't become the Mirror Man, like Six didn't become the Lady, while Mono did become his figurehead. He did become a Thin Man. If this speculation is also to be true, it implies that these main figureheads are all former visitors who usurped their respective figureheads. All of these figureheads have similar abilities. This shows that this power set comes with becoming a figurehead in a way. Now, with what can we do with this information? Well, there was a great saying, with great power comes the responsibility to practice and hone in on your abilities to fully master them. Something I believe the Lady has done. Remember, these locations they inhabit reflect their respective figureheads' magical powers. The Maw is refined, just like the Lady's abilities. But we also just see her use her powers in a more refined and mastered way. The Lady can remove a child's soul from their body, similar to the Thin Man, but unlike the Thin Man, where the souls lay glitchy and idle, the Lady is able to hypnotize their soul in a way and turn them into these little servants or guards. She's able to turn them into the Shadow Kids. Not only this, she is able to transform their bodies into servants as well. She's able to transform their physical forms into the gnomes, who wander the Maw and, when given the chance, shovel coal into the Maw's furnace, serving the Maw and also her. We see she also has a plethora of books to learn from. She has done a lot of studying, a lot of learning. She was given the resources and time to study and hone in on her magical abilities. There's also a small connection with these books with the Shadow Kid's mask on them. Perhaps these books helped her harness the ability to, in essence, hijack a child's soul. On the contrary, the Thin Man is weak. The Lady was given these resources to learn and grow. She stayed healthy in body and mind and managed to unlock the true extent of her abilities. The Thin Man is old and feeble, locked in an empty room with no stimulation. Endless boredom is not good for a person, and it's reflected in his design. The glitching remains are also just out and about. Whenever the Thin Man took Six and ripped her soul apart from her, the soul was left unattended, like literally every other glitching remain we see. Their soul was just left, unused, abandoned. And unlike the Lady, who makes full use of her powers and creates the gnomes, the Thin Man makes no effort and just leaves the bodies all throughout everywhere. He is an inexperienced figurehead with no time having been spent on learning about his own abilities. The Lady and Thin Man are two sides of the same coin, and I think both show different uses for their types of magic. I also think both could be a commentary on abuse or cycles of abuse. The Lady is implied to be the fifth Lady. Perhaps she feels high pressure to learn and be perfect for those that came before her. She is shown to be vain, and she is shown to care a lot about her appearance. She feels immense pressure to be perfect and is deeply affected by the abuse and impossible standards imposed on her by her predecessors. On the other hand, the Thin Man is completely alone. He suffered neglect, the opposite of the Lady. The Lady had overbearing pressures put on her while the Thin Man was left completely alone and to his own devices. I also think this characterization of these figureheads could apply to not only the figureheads, but the children that were supposed to become them. If you followed along with my theories, you'd know I don't subscribe to the time loop theory in regards to Mono and the Thin Man. You'd also know I feel like the Lady was a visitor before she was turned into what she is now. Like I said earlier, Six was supposed to be the next Lady, but she was able to break her cycle. She avoided her fate. Mono was not so lucky. I think that these characters, the Thin Man and Mono, the Lady and Six, faced those abuses in the real world. Having all been former visitors, they all chose the Nowhere for a reason. From the Sounds of Nightmares audiobook, we know the Nowhere preys on troubled children who faced a lot of abuse and have dealt with a lot of pain in their lives, leading them to choose the Nowhere over the waking world. The lady and Six, while they were in the waking world, faced those struggles of abuse, those insurmountable pressures and standards pushed onto them, either by their families or friends or societies as a whole. And because they faced this specific type of abuse, the Nowhere pushed them towards the Maw, a place whose figurehead needs to have that type of trauma. Same thing with the Thin Men and Mono. All of the past Thin Men and Mono were victims of neglect. Neglectful parents left them alone, responsible for themselves at an impossibly early age. Perhaps they had no friends to support them. Perhaps the system failed them and didn't save them from the abuse they were facing. Because of this, they chose the Nowhere, and the Nowhere pushed them towards the Pale City, a place suited for those who faced neglectful abuse. Six is named Six. The lady is the fifth lady. Six was supposed to be the next lady, but she was able to break this cycle. She overcame her abuse. She was able to move on from her traumas. Mono wasn't so lucky. I think that this characterization also helps support another idea I had in regards to the different types of children in the Nowhere. In my Mono isn't in a time loop theory, I talked about how it seems like children in the Nowhere have different types in a way. Mono is a TV type character, and Six is this weird shadow magic type character. I think that this type of magic, this type of character, is specifically tied to the traumas that they faced. Six, the lady, and all of the past ladies all faced that specific type of abuse and therefore were given this specific power set. Mono and all of the past Thin Men faced that specific neglect type of abuse, and because of that, they were given these TV-themed powers in a way. It's widely known that the Pale City's main theme is escapism. If you're completely alone, completely neglected, what else can you do other than use these escapist devices? Perhaps Mono and all of the past Thin Men were left completely alone in their homes, no food, their parents didn't get them clothes, they were left completely alone and neglected. Maybe they turned to the TVs as an escapist method, right? Their fates, the figureheads that they're supposed to become, are deeply intertwined with the trauma that they faced in the waking world. So, I think that the different types of children are specifically tied to the type of abuse that they faced. This also answers a different question I had. Why do some kids have magical abilities while other kids do not? Well, I believe that, say, Six faced a lot harsher and more traumatic abuse than, say, the Flashlight Girl. That's why Six was destined to become the next lady, while the Flashlight Girl just got eaten by a leech. The Nowhere preys on these traumatized children, but those with specific, harsh, terrible traumas worse than any of the other children, those are the ones that are destined to become these figureheads. Those are the ones that the Nowhere really wants to wring out. The Nowhere doesn't want to just kill those and eat their souls and whatever and just leave it at that. No, they have to capitalize. The Nowhere has to capitalize on that trauma, on that abuse, and therefore, those types of children are destined to become these figureheads in a way. Little Nightmares is a game series about cycles of abuse. Children who face abuse choose their escapist vices, these escapist vices being choosing the Nowhere, this place where the ferryman, say, promises they'll feel no more physical pain, a place where Noon goes to because her headaches are gone. They choose the Nowhere, an actual hell, over the real world because their pain is so bad. I believe that at its core, Little Nightmares is a story about overcoming those traumas. Little Nightmares 1 is about overcoming it. Little Nightmares 2 is a story for those who weren't able to overcome their traumas. And I think that this whole concept, this whole idea of these cycles of abuse and these types of magic and this figurehead idea, it all connects the dots in what I believe to be a very satisfying narrative. And that is my theory, / analysis, / whatever you want to call it. Today's video, I think, was a very fun one to make. It was a very fun topic to discuss. It was a very fun idea that I thought about, and I hope you enjoyed listening. I have some big plans for the channel. This is the part where the video is over and I'm just going to talk about myself and the channel, things like that. For those who know, I've been learning Blender and I'm going to showcase some of my models here. I plan on making an animated short. I came up with this idea. I don't know if it should be a full animation or if this should be the intro part of a bigger animation or if it could be a series, but I have the script set out and a few of my friends are going to be voice acting some characters about a story that I'm making about this place called the Autarkia. The first episode is going to be about our main character, a little girl named Doe, and her twin brother, John, and how she loses her brother to the nowhere and ends up following suit. You'll have to see. And I also, in that same vein, have one of the main enemies, one of the main residents they encounter, the Vintner, all modeled and rigged. I've been doing Blender for like 3 weeks now, maybe like a month by the time this video is released, and I'd like to say I've progressed pretty far in such a short amount of time. I'm also right now modeling spoilers ahead for those who haven't read The Lonely One's Little Nightmares book yet. I'm modeling the performer from that book. This is my interpretation of his design. I've had a few past models that I didn't really like, so this is the most recent iteration, the one that I'm showing on screen. At some point, I do plan on making videos about that book, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. We get there when we get there. Anyways, a lot of future projects coming up. I plan to make a lot of videos. They might take longer to come out just because a lot of the videos I have planned are very art-centric, and for those artists who watch the channel, art takes a very long time to make. 3D modeling and rigging every character and animating takes such a long amount of time. I don't know when this animation project of mine is going to come out. The Autarkia idea has been in the works for months now, and I know a lot of you guys want to see Cascade to the Cradle episode 2, but the Autarkia idea, not even just concept, the story has been in the works for months longer, and it's a lot more fleshed out, and I'm still working on it, I'm still fleshing it out, and this is going to be probably the coolest piece of art I've ever created. So I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know how long it'll take to make. Perhaps I'll release just the intro part as a pilot episode. Maybe it could be a series, or maybe it'll be the intro to a bigger animation. I'm not sure, but either way, look out for that. I'm very excited to work on it. Maybe I'll make some videos showcasing my progress in Blender, and maybe I could do live streams showing off the animating and modeling process. We'll see. We'll get there when we get there. Let me know if you've watched this far, at least, let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in watching any of my live streams about that. I could do viewer requests, maybe, model specific residents that we haven't yet seen. Maybe you have a specific resident design you want to show me. You could send it over on my Discord, and I can try and model it really fast, just for practice's sake. I could talk about the learning process, and I could talk about the main important beats when it comes to making Blender models. Who knows what I'll do. Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. Join the Discord to let me know if you have any ideas. I read all the comments. I check my Discord kind of often. I don't talk in it much, but I do check it. I do read it. So if I see an idea I really like, perhaps I'll respond. Perhaps I'll talk to you and we could talk about your idea. Maybe it can become a video someday. Anyways, all that aside, thank you for watching this far. This should be, hopefully, a longer video. It's going to be a pain in the butt to edit. As you all know, check out all my socials, check out the Patreon, the Discord, all that fun stuff. And as always, thank you for watching.